Sorry to keep you waiting.
Thanks.
Kevin, what can you tell us about the conditions on the Stafford deal and just in general?
It's the main reason why it took so long to get here. So obviously the chronology of the events on the trade side today, everything really came together very much at the last minute, in which generally when you're making a trade under normal circumstances, there's no clock to beat, so you're spelling out all the conditions and everything, and all those things are done but in conjunction with the main call that you first have. So the conditions essentially are, it's a 6th round pick in 2018 that can go to a 5th or a 4th, based on the performance of Boston in the playoffs, and obviously also Drew's participation in it. So if he plays 50% of the games and they make the playoffs, it goes to a 5th. If they win the first round, it goes to a 4th in 2018.
Overall, did you get many other calls in your other UFAs?
It was an interesting time, and I've said before, every deadline takes on its own life for different reasons. Certainly your own circumstances, but it was a very, very quiet deadline when it came to the volume of calls, and for a period of time, a lot of the calls were outward as opposed to inward, and but as far as the overall lead up, and that was kind of quasi-normal, with doing your due diligence, but on a day like today, it was actually very quiet.
Will you bring anybody else up from the Moose now that you've cleared a spot, or
no? So right now, kind of part of the impetus of the trade is that Kopp and Dano are basically coaches' decisions to come back into the lineup, and obviously watching Drew's not a 4th line or a bottom 6 type of player, and so again, if there's not an opportunity for him to play in the top 6, given Ehlers and Laine's type of bursting onto the scene, that again, it was an opportunity for sure for us to get Kopp and Dano back in the lineup and get them playing again. And then also, and I'm not sure if it's been reported or not, Julian Melchiori, we assigned him to the Moose, prior to the deadline. It was a very, and again, I'll have to reflect back a little bit. Like the volume, the number of deals that were done today was very low. I think, I wasn't really paying a lot of attention to a lot of things. I think there was 1 or 2 things out there that was holding a lot of things up for teams, whether they were going to be in it, whether they were in something else and eventually weren't in it, or whether it didn't happen. I don't know. Like, these are always very fluid situations, but this situation came together at the end. It wasn't a matter of me picking A or B or C, or try to play off of B or C. It was it was a deal that again, the conversation started a long time ago, but the actual coming together on the deal, and then obviously the conditions at the end, which if you see the spreadsheet that comes with the trade call, as far as all the different permutations, it makes your head spin.
A couple of years ago, when you acquired Tuloski around this time, and some of the moves you made leading up to it, you said the message was clear from you to the team that we're all in here. What message are you sending to the team when fans?
Well, I think the message is that for us, obviously, we made a decision that we weren't going to re-sign Drew in the summertime, and that we made a decision that there was an opportunity to ensure that players that are going to be affected, not only by the expansion draft, but be big parts of this future, again, come back into the lineup. It's not like we're calling someone up, to give them a better chance. These are players that have been with us for the vast majority of the year, and have had the unfortunate injuries at different points in time that have put them out. So it's a matter of getting them back in the lineup. Essentially, kind of like maybe some deadline acquisitions, but again, if it's going to push Drew into a situation where he's not useful for us, then it really doesn't help us both now and in the future. So. The message to the fans, again, for us is we've got a big game coming up here against St. Louis. That's the team that obviously is right in front of us and is at the forefront of our mind. And again, I think with the opportunity to put our best lineup on the ice, that's what we were with an eye of doing here in doing this trade. Well, again, you don't want to get into any kind of negotiations or anything up here. I think that there's probably opportunities on both sides that you can look at and say it's been successful. Again, for me, I don't see Paul Maurice as a guy that coaches for his job per se each and every day, because I believe he does. He's got the confidence in what he does and how he does it, and he knows, again, what this organization is about. Again, at the end of the year, Paul and I will, obviously, with ownership, sit down with together and see where the direction goes. Personally, would I like to have a coach that's locked up all the time? Yeah, obviously you want the players and everyone to understand and know that where things are at, but that doesn't mean that it has to happen like that. There's certain situations and circumstances that are always individual to each situation.
Is it too soon then to say you'd like to sign him to an extension before the next season comes along?
Again, for me personally, certainly I have no problem sitting down talking to him about about an extension. But again, we're in the middle of the season here, and we're trying to make the playoffs.